All right, what's up, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads back with another video for you. So, in today's video, I want to go into the basics of what my channel is all about, basically, which is, raising your kids to be healthy, high functioning people from following your example as dads. So, where I think all of that starts is with the way your kids eat and how healthy you're keeping them. I'm big on the idea that the way we eat has a domino effect on everything else in your life. You get how you get in shape, which helps build confidence, helps build discipline and hard work, and so on and so forth. I know that once I figured out the way that I respond best to eating, everything else in my life really, really started falling in place. So from that, I really believe that having a good diet for your kids will have the same effect. You feed your kids a highly nutritious diet, they're free from the pain and the discomfort that a lot of kids today are experiencing, due to eating their unhealthy standard American diet or whatever they're getting fed. So it's important at a certain point to let your kids make their own choices, but you need to set that standard and start making good choices and good habits when they're young. And that all starts really with us as dads. So before I get into everything relating to that, I kind of want to go back and talk about my history with food, how I ate as a kid, how I fed my kids before I started down this path, and why I think I screwed up royally in that area, and kind of how I've started approaching that now, years later, that I think I've found the best way for me and my family to eat. So when I was a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, I ate pretty much like all the other kids in America, which was the garbage ass, standard American diet. I had a unique living situation. So my parents are divorced and I lived with my dad primarily as a kid. My mom didn't have like any visitation stuff, which is a story in itself that I'm not going to do on here. But I spent a few days a week with her parents instead, with my grandparents. And at my dad's house, it was actually a pretty good, situation food wise. We didn't eat out all that much. My dad hated eating out. My stepmom loves cooking and she's really good at it. So I definitely believe eating at home is the first step toward getting your diet and health back on track. And we did that at my parents' house, my dad's house growing up. My dad was good on the grill too, so we had barbecue, grilled food a lot of really, really, really good options, good food. A lot of great meals that we ate in the house, especially at dinner time. But my parents always made sure there were a lot of snacks and stuff on hand too, like everybody does and did back then. A lot of junk food type snacks were available because that's just what people do. And my breakfasts were pretty much quick breakfast foods. My both parents worked. They had multiple kids to get ready in the morning, so it was it was your cereal, Eggo waffles, the little Jimmy Dean sausage and biscuit things, all that, you name it. That's what we ate for breakfast and school lunch because the good meal was always like dinner. Because they both were busy people. At my grandparents' house, that was a totally different story. My grandfather owned a diner and spent like all of his time at it, working and supervising and stuff. And my grandmother wasn't like a cooking enthusiast, so she pretty much watched me and my sister at night after school and on the weekend and stuff. So with her, we just ate out. We ate out a lot. And like pizza was like a regular staple at my grandparents' house. Friday nights, that usually meant like renting movies at Blockbuster, ordering pizza, like lots of soda. There's ice cream sandwiches and all that crap. And they stocked their cabinets with tons of just shit, like just snacks, candy, fruit by the foot, all that kind of stuff. And my sister and I, we always had loads of junk food available at their house. So you can see it was easy to develop some bad habits really, really early on. And I hate to say it, I kind of raised my kids the same way, just being a young dad and not knowing any better. And as I've said, I have two kids that are older teenagers, and I got a little one, running around now. And when my boys were younger, I didn't know shit about nutrition. I just kept kind of the standard American diet like I had always been eating and I'd always been raised on. I didn't, I'd never taken a nutrition class. I'd never, no, nobody told me anything. And my wife had always been raised pretty much the same way. So that's typically what we ate. And that included our kids. Same thing, the same kind of foods. And it didn't take much before my kids were falling into a lot of the traps that, most American kids are now. They got sugar addicted really early. They loved going out, like going to places and stuff because that meant McDonald's along the way and all that crap. My oldest son, he was a naturally really skinny kid. But my younger son wasn't so lucky with the metabolism. He's a big guy, still is to this day. He's a big framed, big athlete, football player guy. And he'll tell you himself that his weight was a struggle, all through his childhood. And just full disclosure, I take full accountability for that. That falls on me as his dad and not on him. And I'm big on the fact that everything in your life that's wrong is your responsibility to fix. And with kids, it's your parents' responsibility until they're a certain point. And I spent years trying to find ways to get us all healthy as my kids got older and struggled with their weight, and I really carried a lot of the blame for that, which is justified. It is my fault. And we tried all kinds of diets, after they got to a certain age, like high elementary school, middle school. We started counting calories, doing exercise programs, you name it. We just couldn't get it all to work. I couldn't even get my weight and eating under control. So how could I expect to lead my family in getting in shape too? I'm telling you, if you're fat and lazy, looking like a sloppy fat ass and bitching at your kids to whip them in shape, it's going to hold zero water, dudes. I'm telling you, like, you need to take care of yourself first. And they're going to go as you go. And then I found, the carnivore diet. And I did a whole video, my very first video, if you want to go check that out on what led me to that. I'll post a link to it in the description. And as I said, when you finally get on the train and you start getting results, the people that look up to you, the people that you're responsible for, they notice. You know, my wife was the first one to join me on, my mission to get healthy, and she got great results as well. And she fell off a little bit after having our daughter, but not like bad or anything. She didn't gain a ton of like any weight back or anything. But she, when she starts saying, "Hey, I need to, do something," she hops back on every once in a while, and then, boom, like that, she's really starting to see really good benefits. Um, Getting my kids to get on the train, that was a totally different story altogether. My younger son did it for a while when I think he was an eighth grader at the time. And for the kids that age, that's tough. They see their friends eating all the trash food at school, and they still associate school food with pleasure like the majority of us adults do. It's tough. And they're fed school lunch that's not that shit. It's bad. It's trash. You'll never convince me otherwise. So to get your kids on it, especially at a young age, it was tough. So, but fast forward in the past several months, he's a junior in high school now. And like I said, he's an athlete and he's getting closer to, taking the next step in his goals and stuff like that. And he got really serious about his nutrition in the past like 6 months, and now he's fully joined me on this. And he, like I said, he's a multi-sport athlete, and he had a pretty bad injury in the football season this year that he played through, and it was rough. And he decided after that was over, he took a look at everything in his life and why some of these things happen, and he decided, it's time for me to really get my nutrition dialed in to take that performance, to the next level. And man, he's seen awesome results. Like I said, he's a bigger guy. He's like almost 6'3" and he was about 245 last summer. And he got down to about 220, but like looking in really good shape, 220. And recently he started upping his calories back up, and he's got back up, I think, to about 230. And it's just a much, much cleaner, really good muscle weight. not, he was carrying a lot of fat. He doesn't have that really anymore. And he's hoping, to keep that going over the summer and get back up to that 240, maybe a little more, but, a clean, lean, muscular 240, which I've kind of shown him. I did a bulk this last year that it's totally doable. I got from about 215 up to 245. There's some body fat on there, but it's, I've really upped my weight in a good positive way, and it's just been really cool to see him experiment and see the success he's had. And he's stricter than I am. There's days where I'm like, man, I could go for like some cheat thing or whatever, and he's like, come on, Dad. Like, he's like, what are you doing? you know my older son, a little tougher to get fully on board. He really, he's a food guy and really enjoys pizzas and some of those foods. But I make sure he gets better options. I check the labels and show him how to check food labels and things like that, and show him, making things homemade and stuff as opposed to just buying processed crap at the store. And he eats probably about 70%, animal based, just because he eats in the house and eats what we make. And to me, that's better than before, as far as I'm concerned. Better than the way they were raised, at least. Even making small changes are great. You just have to take things one step behind and a step at a time. And like I said, that they got to be able to make their own choices and their own decisions at some point. And I'm still working on them. you know I'm doing what I can to set that example, and show the results that I get. And that's really, you know ultimately what it comes down to. At a certain point, all you can do. And so that brings me to my little one, my daughter. Obviously she's still little. She's not even 2 yet. She's about 1.5, and she's a big, milk drinker. And we make sure that it's only drinking whole milk. And other than that, she pretty much eats the way my wife and I eat, which is almost all the way, carnivore. My wife's a little different than I am. And but she loves it. We do give her some other things like some fruit and whole vegetables just to see how she does with them. But she really goes for the meats every time. Your kids are very intuitive, and they really will go for what they feels best for them a lot. Some of you put some high sugar stuff in front of them, they're going to chow down on that too. But she goes for the meat first every time. It's just her preference. I don't keep bread in my house anymore. Typically, I don't keep grain based stuff in here. That's completely out of my diet. Breads and grains, pastas and stuff like that. We just don't buy it. And we've kept her pediatrician fully aware of the way she eats, the way she's raised, how we all eat, and he's totally thrilled with the results. He thinks that she's doing awesome and thriving. And tells us, hey, keep doing what you're doing. She's growing great, really fast. She's smart, everything. So it's awesome for us to not have to be walking on eggshells about your diet, especially with like your doctor. I know some people go to doctors and they refuse to believe that, an animal based way of eating works. They're just stuck in the old way of eating. Fat's bad for you. You're going to get clogged arteries and cholesterol, this and all the buzzwords, all the stuff, crap that's been debunked. You know, it's still, there's still a lot of people dealing with that. And I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about that. Um, so I guess, what it all boils down to, my point in all this is that it all starts with you. You as a dad, you should be trying to set the standard, because the people in your house look up to you whether you like it or not. And how well you maintain that influence depends on your attitude, and how you take care of yourself. The people who care about you and look up to you, they watch everything you do, and they'll know how much you care by how much you show it. If you can't take care of yourself, how can they really trust you to take care of them? That's the way I look at it. And that was a harsh reality that I had to face. When I wasn't healthy, when I was fat and out of shape, I wasn't the best version of myself. I know they love me, I know they look up to me, but I know that I wasn't doing my best as their dad, as a husband, as the family man, as the head of the house. And now it's a whole different environment. I know that they know that I'm doing what's best for myself, and they trust that I'm doing what's best for them. And that's the level I want to help you guys get to, because you deserve to be the best version of yourself, and your kids deserve to be the best versions of themselves, and they will follow your lead. If you show them the way through hard work and through results, show them the results, they'll do the work and they'll follow you. I guarantee it. So I'm going to finish up by saying that at some point they need to be able to make choices of their own, but it's up to you to keep showing them the benefits of a healthy way of living. And if you show them, that their diet directly correlates to how strong and active you are, they'll follow suit, even if it takes them a while. Sometimes they just need to struggle to figure things out a little bit, and eventually they will come around and they'll at least start making better choices. So, anyway, that's it for today. As always, guys, the links to all my socials and stuff are down in the description. So hit like and subscribe. I have some big things coming up that I'll announce, at another time. So stay tuned for that. So till then, hit the notification bell to keep seeing my content, and then leave a comment below with any questions or any ideas or anything you guys have. And I appreciate all the support and stuff. It's been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. So till next time, later.